This is literally my journey to atheism and why, right? And the reason why I'm doing this stream is because I get a lot of questions about it, and I get into it a little bit on certain streams and on certain panels, but I never really addressed the whole thing because I figured it's going to take a while to address the whole thing and not something I can do in 5 minutes on someone else's panel when the subject was maybe baby mama drama, and then religion comes up, and then I'm like, oh, I'm an atheist, and everybody's like, oh, and the teacups drop, right? So I haven't really been able to address it the way I'd like to, and a lot of people have been curious about it. So here it is. Again, this is my journey, and just part of, you know, the soundtrack of my life, and I'm explaining why I'm here, right? But I'm not here to take away your gods and your Jesus. That is your business. It is your time on earth. I'm a believer. It's all of our times on earth. And however you want to live that life, however you see fit, is how you should do it. Again, right here on the screen, my journey to atheism and why. And if you guys have questions for me that I will not cover, please throw them in the chat, because I know when I tell people I'm an atheist, I get a lot of questions about it. But Jen, but what, blah, blah, but Jen, but then how do you, but Jen, but then why, but Jen, how do you explain? So you can throw those in the chat if I don't cover them. Again, thank you for being here. I want to get into this. You know, I don't do a lot of lollygagging in the beginning. That's how my streams are going to run. I'm going to start sharp, and we're going to get right into it. So let's go to the beginning. Yeah. 11 or 12 years ago, I was super religious, like a lot of you watching. I mean, super, like God and Jesus, and, you know, God woke me up in the morning, and God makes me feel better when I'm sick, and God got me that promotion, and God got me that good man, and oh, God help me, I don't want my child to be sick. Oh, God help me, may my mother and father live forever. Oh, God help, you know, I was as religious as a lot of you are right now. I really was around 11 or 12 years or so ago. With that said, what's up, the boy? With that said, okay, in the back of my mind, OG Patrice, yes, I am wearing red. I had to do the whole theme. With that said, I've always been religious with a chip in my brain that was kind of like, this doesn't make sense, but it's what my grandmother believed. I'm sure her mother believed, my mother believed, my siblings believed, my dad believed. So this is what I'm going to believe, right? Traditionally, we are all about our family and generational, you know what I mean, traditions, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm all about the Jesus and the God and the Lord and all of that yummy stuff, right? All about the Christmas and the holidays and what have you, right? Easter, you name it. I was in the pink dress with the lace gloves and everything. I was in. But I was always that very curious child. And but you know, in religion, it's not good to question, right? It's something that people don't like hearing, blind faith. But we do have faith blindly in religion. We do. We don't question it. We like, hey, mama said, and big mama said, and grandma said, and that's what it is, right? But I've always been that kid, man, where it's like, no, I need this to make sense, because a lot of it doesn't make sense, and I need it to make sense. And I know a lot of people are like, well, not everything can be questioned. Not everything will make sense, Jen. And I was like, yeah, I know. But the way my brain works, like 1 + 1 = 2. You know what I mean? I know in the daytime, the sun's going to be out. And at nighttime, the moon's going to be out. I need things to make sense. I like tangible things, right? That's not how religion works, though. And we know that, right? For the majority of us, we didn't need to see or hear God to believe in him. It's just, you know, he's there. I know he's there. I believe he's there. So then he's there, right? So that stopped working for me. And a lot of people I noticed that are atheists, what I would call atheist light. And I'm going to get into the word atheist because I'm not a fan of that word either. I'll get into why. But a lot of people are atheist light. A lot of people I come across that are atheists because they feel like God has forsaken them, or God let them down, or God wasn't there when they needed him to be there, or they were really hoping for something, or hoping someone didn't die, and then that person died, or that person died suddenly in an accident, or were murdered, and then it's like, oh, I don't like you anymore, God, because you were supposed to be there for me, right? So that's usually how most people lose their religion. I'm not one of those people. I am not mad at God. I don't think God has forsaken me. That wasn't my deal. Okay. But a lot of people feel that way. And that's why I call them atheist light, because no, you believe in God. You're just mad that what they told you God was and is capable of didn't pan out for you. Okay. So in my opinion, that's atheist light. I come from a more logical point of view. Now, getting to the word atheist, by definition, I am an atheist. It's someone who doesn't believe God exists and has almighty power, and is like kind of pulling the puppet strings on our lives and making things happen or not happen, or helping us avoid things from happening, or giving us things if we really, really ask them. So I am someone who doesn't believe any of that at all whatsoever, right? And here's where it gets complicated. And just let me give you a shout out to, if you're religious and you're watching this, because it takes a lot to be religious and watch this, because a lot of people, as soon as they hear someone's not religious or an atheist, is like, the person grows horns, right? And it's like, no, I can't even listen to this because my God would never, and my God would never. So if you're here and you're just listening to my point of view, I salute you, right? Because I'm not here to convert you. I think it's great that you believe in what you believe in, and we'll get to that as well. Now, the reason why I don't like the word atheist, although I am atheist by definition, is because, believe it or not, I feel like atheism is a religion within its own non-religious non-beliefs. And what I mean by that is, a lot of atheists are adamant about convincing religious people that God doesn't exist. I don't fall under that category. Again, I'm here to tell you about my experience. But a lot of atheists are hell-bent in convincing religious people that God doesn't exist, and you're stupid and you're crazy and it's a mental illness, and why are you here? Why are you believing in God, and it's so dumb and it's so dumb. I'm not that person. I am not that person. But people that fall under the term atheist are usually that way. They're like, well, let me convince you that God doesn't exist, right? I don't think that's necessary in order for me to be an atheist, right? That's why I feel a ways about that word, because I think atheist is it's been weaponized and it's negative, right? No one ever hears the words atheist unless it's another atheist, and it's like, oh, I feel joy. Actually, they feel threatened. They're like, oh my God, Satan's child, Satan's spawn, get away from me, right? So I don't like the word, because I think a lot of them can also be zealots, right? Like a lot of religious people. And you guys know me, but today, do I really have to do the not all, some? Because I'm sure that there are amazing Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Pentecostal, blah, 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 right? So that's why I don't like that word, although by definition, yes, I am an atheist. So when I posted that I was doing this stream, I got some really interesting feedback. Some people were telling me, there's no way, I don't think that, no, there's no way I could think that God doesn't exist. Some people hit me with the crying emojis. Believe it or not, some people hit me with the crying emojis. Some people were telling me, it doesn't matter that you don't believe God doesn't exist, because he believes in you. You know what I mean? I heard all kind of interesting things, but it's things that I've been hearing ever since I declared myself a non-believer. So I'm used to it. I hear all kinds of things. When someone believes something, they are hell-bent and they do not waver, which is great. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, right? So one of the questions I got, I thought was interesting, was from a good friend of mine. I have good friends that are very religious. And basically, he had asked me, well, what's a God? What's a God? What's a God to you? What's a God to you, right? And I can just go with Merriam-Webster's. I'm cool with Merriam-Webster's, right? The being worshipped as the creator and ruler of the universe, a being believed to have more than human powers, an object worshipped as divine, right? We can go further. In Christianity and other monotheistic religions, the creator and ruler of the universe and source of all moral authority, the supreme being, a superhuman being or spirit worshipped as having power over nature or human fortunes, a deity, a moon god, right? So it's like that, the Alpha and the Omega, the Almighty, the beginning and the end. He pulls the strings. He says no, he says yes, he allows, he blocks, right? The Almighty. That's, and I'm comfortable with that definition. I would say, yeah, that's what God means, right? Seeing as my friend asked me, that's my answer. That's what God means to many people that believe in him. I don't believe that exists. I don't believe it exists, right? So another one of the questions, again, if I don't answer one of the questions that you may have in your mind about an atheist, because I'm here to talk, okay? I'm all about talking, right? I'm not so much one of the people that's like, oh, let's resolve this, because sometimes you just have to agree to disagree, right? Bid the person to do. But if I don't answer a question as you hear me speaking, feel free to ask, okay? So again, by that definition, yeah, that's what God means. I just don't believe it exists. Someone had asked me, well, Jen, if you don't think God exists, then who made all of this? Who made the earth and the moon and the stars and the oceans? Look at how grandiose it is and how big it is, so much more powerful than we are. Who made this, right? Okay, here's the thing. I don't know how we got here, and I don't know what this globe is. I do believe that we are all connected, right? Like the movie Avatar, we are connected to the moon, the stars, the earth. That's why two women are living in the same house. We get our cycles at the same time. You know what I mean? You can feel someone about to call you, or, you know, you're thinking about something and the person pops up, right? We're all connected. It really is like the movie Avatar, right? We're connected to everything. I sometimes have thought that humans are the virus of Earth, just like Agent Smith told Neo in the Matrix. Why do I think that? I think that humanity has been a virus to the Earth, just like any other organism, right? It's like we have a body, and sometimes we get viruses and sicknesses and things like that. And I think the Earth has been that way, where it's just like this thing where a lot of things exist on it, and some things are good for it and some things are bad for it. I think humans are very, very bad for Earth, right? Because you know, we poisoned the waters, we poisoned the, thank you, Il Doctrine, we poisoned the waters, we poisoned the air, we poisoned each other, we're bad to each other, we don't care about nature, we don't care about animals, we attack, we cut down trees, you know, we build roadways on land. So, you know, that kills the planet, does it not? Does it not kill the planet? Like, this isn't me making it up. I think that's what humans are to the planet Earth. Although things like the Bible and religion will have you think that humans are some sort of gift, the thinking animal, the walking animal, the animal that's better than all the other animals in the land. And I think it's the opposite. I think humans have been a virus to the planet, right? As we saw during the pandemic, when no one could go outside, we saw it all with our own two eyes. The smog cleared up and the animals were walking in the street over paved roadways, right? And that's because we were all inside. We couldn't go outside and do the human thing, right? And continue to poison the planet. So that's one thing that I think about just humans in general. So when I hear that question, well, who put all of this here? I think the burden of proof is on you, right? The religious people who believe God built all of this, the trees, the sun, the moon, the star, that burden of proof is on you. It's not really on me, because you're the one making the claim, so to speak, right? And again, this is my journey to atheism. If you're just coming in, this is not me trying to convince you God doesn't exist. Keep your God, okay? And I'm gonna get into why God is very necessary for a lot of people, okay? Just not for me, and I'll explain why, right? So, but when I hear people say, then how did this get here? That burden of proof is on you, right? And I'm about tangible evidence, right? I'm about tangible things. That's just my personality. If I tell you I cooked this meal and you tell me, well, then you show me how you did it. If you really cooked that meal, then I can show you how I did it. If I tell you I gave birth to this child, well, you show me how you gave it. I can show you how I gave birth to this child. If I say something as simple as I love you, right? That's an action word. These things are action words. So when someone tells me that an entity put the trees here in the ocean, and I'm like, show me, you got to show me, because my brain is intact. It's 1 + 1 = 2. So I'm far from those personalities that are about whimsy and make believe. And it's like, if I can't explain it, it must be something outside of me. I am not cut that way. I am not that way. Sorry. But again, it was interesting the reactions that I got to my post when I said I was going to do this. Okay. Welcome all again. I see a lot more people came back in. Please drop your questions in the chat if you like. Thank you again, Ill Doctrine. I appreciate you. Let me make sure you didn't attach a question to that. Okay, Ill Doctrine said with his $10 super chat, thank you. He said, atheists don't have a doctrine, is an atheist's favorite doctrine. I don't use the term either. The Bible has some cool stories, but they left the book of simp out. Look out for Tristan. I will. Great point. I happen to be a fan of the Bible. Yes, the atheist is a fan of the Bible. I'm also a fan of Hemingway. I'm also a fan of Shakespeare. I'm a fan of the Iliad and the Odyssey. I love Gilgamesh. I am one of those people that loves any literature, okay, even Dr. Seuss, any literature with life lessons and explaining human behavior. I think the Bible is a great example of that, but so is Shakespeare, so is Othello, so is Hemingway. Edgar Allan Poe had some stuff in there. And what do I mean by that? I think that, you know, as long as humans have been around, they've been documenting human behavior, okay, whether it's hieroglyphics or whether it's the Bible. Long as humans been around, we do it today. We have journalists, we have people that write books on psychology. As long as humans have been around, there's been the study of humanity. And what happens is we put it down on paper, or now we can do it online, right? But we've always been documenting humanity. And I think that the Bible is a huge documentation of human behavior. Journalists from way back then who were writing down, this is what happened, this is how I saw it, right? And then if you're looking at something like the Iliad or the Odyssey or Shakespeare or, you know, I mean, Hemingway, points are exaggerated, right? That's why I feel we have a talking snake, a burning bush that's talking, you know, the ocean opening up so Moses could walk through, you know, Moses splitting the ocean. I think it's creative writing. Unfortunately, it's been taken literally, and it's been used against people. But I can use anything against you. I can hear a reporter say that, you know, if you're not vaccinated, you're killing the planet, right? I can use that against you because someone else told me. And I think that's what the Bible does. Like, it puts something out there, and if you feel strongly about it, then it can easily be weaponized. But I'm glad that he brought up the Bible, because I am a fan of the Bible. There's some really, really, really dope stories in there that you can teach people about life, that you can learn about humanity, that you can learn about love and lust and psychology and hate, and how siblings treat each other, how husbands and wives treat each other, how bad men treat good men and good men you know, react to bad men, how you should view people. So it's great. It's great literature. Do I think it's a book of worship? No. Do I think it should have been a book of worship? No, because I think humans are delicate of mind, and it just takes a little nudge to make them a zealot. It just takes them a little nudge to make them a fanatic. It just takes them a little nudge to make them tyrannical. So when you open up the Bible, the stories are so embellished and so grandiose that it's very easy for a human being to fall into, Jesus said, right? Or you're an abomination, or you're going to hell if you don't honor thy mother and father. Like, humans are very delicate, and they're always going through trauma, right? So it's like any little thing will nudge them to believing a certain thing. FYI, okay? This is not a stream versus Christians. Now, here's my only gripe with Christians, right? Some are good, some are bad, some are zealots, some are assholes, just like any other thing on planet Earth, right? Any other group on planet Earth. The issue I have with Christians is we are in the United States of America. More than likely, that's why you're a Christian. If you were born in another country, you'd probably be a Buddhist. If you were born in even another country, you'd probably be a Muslim. So you landed here. 67% of the United States are Christians. 67%. So wherever you land, right? that is what you're going to more than likely be, and your parents are going to pass it down, right? If you were an Eskimo in Alaska, you'd be in a coat. Why? Because it's cold out there. You catch my drift? If you lived in Jamaica, you'd probably be in shorts all the time. Why? Because it's warm out there. You catch my drift? You landed in the United States of America, so more than likely you, sir or ma'am, are a Christian, and I get it. Okay, so that so my only gripe with Christians is that every time you hear atheist, you think it's a slight or a an attack on you, and I think that's very arrogant. Okay, because there are 4,000 plus religions worldwide. 4,000 plus. Listen to me, Christians. 4,000 plus religions worldwide and growing, whether they're cults, whether they're belief systems, whether they're religions, whether they're groups of people that congregate and believe, the color green is God. Over 4,000 plus religions. So check your arrogance at the door. This is not against Jesus Christ or the God you think gave birth to Jesus Christ or put, Jesus and Mary. This is not about Christians at all. This is about religion collectively. I am talking about the 4,000 plus religions on planet Earth. I am not putting a spotlight on Christianity, but every time a Christian hears atheist, they think it's an attack on their Jesus. And I'm like, no, you're just one religion out of 4,000 plus. Okay, it's proximity. You're here with me in the US, so you think I'm an atheist, I'm against your Jesus. No, I'm just against all religion as a whole and all the gods and all of them, the purple ones, the elephant ones, the green ones, the yellow ones, all of them. Okay, so it's not just you. I know Christians think they're the only religion on the planet. No, you're just in the United States of America. There are many, 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 many religions, not just Christianity. Although Christianity is quite colorful. That Bible, ooh, child, I love those stories. So let's see here. Jabari Bryant. Thank you, Jabari, for the super chat. He said, I wrote a lot in the chat that I will let stand. You are a classical atheist. The classical atheist says, I do not believe in God. The modern atheist says, there is no God. There is a difference. Okay. I guess. Okay. All right, Jabari. And I'll look back at the chat later. Again, if you have questions, put little stars next to it, block stars. That way I can see them and I can catch them because there are a lot of comments. So if you have an actual question, I'd like to answer it if I'm not answering it in the notes that I wrote. Hope you guys are with me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you just walked in the room, this is my journey to atheism, and I get a lot of these questions, so I'm hoping to answer them here today, and you get a better understanding of moi. And some people are hell-bent on not liking you anyway. Some people will watch this stream and be like, see, that's why I didn't like her. She doesn't even believe in God. Some people, they just, it's whatever. Some people will want to get a better understanding of you. Some people don't care what you believe or you don't believe, long as you're good to them. I'm one of those people. Long as you're good to me and you respect me, I will reciprocate. I don't care if you believe Essentia is going to bring you a husband tomorrow morning if you drink it enough. That's the type of person that I am. I know a lot of religion is strong on if we're religious, we can't be around religious people. We can't socialize with religious people because they're going to turn us or whatever. I don't know what your belief is. Just belief in general. Sometimes they want you to stay away from certain people, and that's fine too, right? So again, also guys, American Gods on Stars is a series that's really, really interesting. My life is a movie, so I always refer back to series and shows and films and things like that. But American Gods, I agree with 99% of how that was written, because it explains how really humans made gods instead of the other way around. It's a series. It's not a documentary series. It's a regular series with actors. And it's great. It's well written. It's well acted. And it's a show about how humans made gods and gave gods those powers. It's like if a human says God is the one that's going to bring me a husband, that human believes it. Now you're giving that God that power, right? Because you're believing something, and there's nothing bigger than belief. If I say I believe that something's going to happen, then no one can take that away from me. That is my belief. That is why I believe. You can't take that away from me. That's why I'm not here to try to convert anybody. I am literally explaining to you me and my journey to atheism, because a lot of people ask me about it. So I'm doing it in one stream. Okay. Now, gods in general, how I view them, how I see them. A lot of gods, the way humanity describes them. Let's say I was looking for religion, right? Because I was religious like 12 years ago. Like I said, if you're just getting in here late, I was religious like 12 years ago. Let's say I was looking for a God, right? The way humans present God is really, really disgusting. Like absolutely disgusting, the way humans present God, right? Like that all-knowing, loving, God is love thing goes straight out the window with some of y'all. So I don't know, maybe this may help some of you religious people who want to bring people into your religion. The way you present God, the way you talk about God responding to certain things. Some of the stories in the Bible are tyrannical. God is a mass killer in there. And if you don't behave, and if you look back, you turn into a pillar of salt and you get damned and let's kill the, it's like the way he's introduced as someone who's watching over humanity is really disgusting. So I'm thinking maybe you should take the tyranny out of it, right? If you want to bring people into religion, because again, I'm not here to sway you from your religion. Can't say enough. I'm here to explain to you my atheism. Okay. I don't like the way God is presented. He sounds like a narcissist. A narcissist is usually love me or else, right? Love me or burn in fire forever. Love me, do not deny me. It was written by men, the Bible, and as you know, we live in a patriarchal society. Though some women will deny it, right? The pick-me's, I call them. The pick-me's will deny that we live in a patriarchal society. And I don't mean patriarchal in a bad way or like, hey, I don't like men. I adore men, but they run this mother effer. Okay, men run the planet. They're the most bosses. They're the most CEOs. They run the companies. They run households, and that's a beautiful thing. I have no complaints. I like being the weaker sex. Let me tell you. Okay, doesn't mean that I'm gonna let a man push me around, but I'm comfortable with a man wearing the pants. I'm very comfortable, and I did a live about that. I think it was my last stream. I'm very comfortable with a man wearing the pants. So I don't say patriarchal as a negative towards men, but men wrote the Bible. Men who ruled at said time wrote the Bible. Men decided this is what it's going to be. And I know there are some women in the Bible that were wonderful characters, but men wrote the Bible. Men made it law, not women. Men did. Okay. So you have to understand that that's the point of view when you're reading the Bible. That's the point of view that you are reading. So I think it's skewed. I think it's biased, and I think it's unfair. Right. So I don't like the way God is described, and that's not something or someone that I would ever want to worship or give credit to for waking me up in the morning and getting me a husband and getting me a better job. It's weird, right? Also, it's interesting. Jabari spoke about what an atheist is. The new atheist versus old. I don't think a God exists at all. Thank you, Doctrine. But I feel like religious people, they're cut a certain way as well. I think religious people are cut a certain way to, it's like, this is what I believe, and that's what I don't have to explain it. So it's kind of like an atheist is like, well, I don't believe in a God. Well, prove it, right? And then it's like, well, I believe in a God. Well, prove it, right? Religious people feel like all I got to do is believe and say I believe, and that's that. I don't have to prove anything to you, right? And I'm the type of person that's like, no, but you do though. Like I need to believe it, because if you're thanking God for winning a Grammy, for getting a husband, for helping you survive the COVID, I cannot. And I don't know how you guys rationalize this, and maybe you can explain this to me, religious people, because I am open. I cannot rationalize that while you were surviving COVID, there was a 5-year-old child getting sexually abused and murdered and dismembered. I can't rationalize that. And the fact that religious people can is perturbing to me, disturbing. It is insane. Like, so you can sit there with a straight face and tell me that only because of your God you survived the COVID, but at that same hour, some innocent child was being mutilated. How do you rationalize this? Right? So I'm just explaining to you things that got me away from religion, things like that. Okay? Because I am very logical in my thinking. Things have to make sense. You'd have to help me understand why a God, this thing you believe in, this thing you pray to, helped you survive COVID, didn't help that 5-year-old. But what do religious people say? You can't question God. So if you can't question God and he's picking and choosing who survives on a daily basis, what then is his purpose? If it's a crapshoot anyway, right? What then is his purpose? Is God like a lottery? Like you throw your number in there, the little girl that died praying, please Jesus help me because mama said you would, and you throw in your ticket, surviving the COVID, and then God just chooses, he turns the little wheel and he picks you out and says, you're surviving the COVID. Sorry, kid. You have to, like, how is that possible in your brain? How do you sleep with a conscious mind, right? With a clear conscious mind, like, ooh, I survived COVID. Do you have to ignore the atrocities of the world to continue believing in this God? These are real questions, right? So the child that died with, Jesus, please help me. Mama said you would, right? God was like, I'm busy helping John survive COVID. I would come over there, but I picked John's ticket today, right? So when things like that happen and religious people just wash it away with it was God, it was God's plan. It was God's plan. So then it's a crapshoot. Then he's not the almighty, the all-knowing, the alpha and omega. God is love. Because I would think, right? If we are made in his image, I would think, would you not help a child from surviving being mutilated and sexually abused before you would help some old guy who has COVID, right? And I'm just throwing things, these are just examples. I'm just saying in general. I'm not saying actual COVID and actual sexual abuse. I'm saying you as a thinking, breathing, loving entity, would you not care more for that child? So the way God is presented is nonsensical. And again, this is what led me to my atheism. The older I got, the less sense it made. Now, when I was a child and they was giving me that Jesus stuff, I believed it wholeheartedly. Christmas, Jesus' birthday. Easter, yes. Right? Prayer, something good happened. That must have been God. Oh, I missed that. God wasn't. That was the devil. That's what it was, the devil. Yeah, the devil. It says in the Bible it's the devil, right? So these are things that led me to atheism. I don't like being fucked with, as a lot of you know who've been following me. I don't like my mind being messed with. Okay. I don't like people playing games with me, and I feel like religion does all three. Like, don't fuck with me. Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Okay. So when you're telling me and trying to convince me that this thing that saved you from this disease was more available to you than a child who's suffering, yet I feel like you're fucking with me. Just a little bit. Right? I can't accept that. I can't accept it. I will not. I can't fathom it. Ill Doctrine, thank you. He said, I believe the statement God exists is true, so technically I'm not an atheist. However, I believe God exists only in the minds of other people, so technically I'm not a theist. That's very interesting because I also do believe that God does exist in people's minds, and once it's there, it is there, right? So I covered that. I'm actually going on a list of questions that I got when I posted that I was going to do this stream. This is a good one. This is a big one. I hear this a lot online when the atheist a conversation comes up. Well, how did you create a moral compass? How are you moral? If it's not God watching over you or the threat of eternal hell, why are you a moral person? Why are you? And listen, honey, when I tell you, I've met some of the most evil religious people. So can we at least put on the table that religion doesn't make you a moral person? Can we just put that on the table? Because I've seen some of the most evil things happen under the guise of God sent me, God said, or only God can judge me. Only God can judge me, right? So if I'm on earth and I get to be a tyrant because none of you matter and only God's going to judge me later, I can do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, yeah, right? And unfortunately, although I like using this sign, not all, some, unfortunately, again, with the way humanity is built, very delicate brains, any little thing, something happens to you when you're 5, you scarred for life. PTSD forever, right? That's how the human brain works. Very delicate creatures we are, right? Oh, I hate everybody now because somebody did something to me when I was 7, right? So when you take that brain that's so delicate and then you throw religion on it with trauma, like I said before, it's very easy to become tyrannical with a quote unquote God watching over you, who's the only one that has to forgive you. It's a very dangerous, dangerous, slippery slope when you are a human being that thinks you can carry on however you want and be weak of flesh because only God can judge you. I'll go even deeper. My moral compass, I feel like it's innate. Some people may disagree. I think it has a lot to do with how you're raised. Some kids are raised in abusive homes and they want to be caregivers when they're older. Some children are raised in abusive homes and turn into the parents that raised them, right? And the reason why I say it's innate is because we know how it feels when we do something wrong. If your brain is intact and it's just a clean slate, you know when you do something wrong to someone, right? You don't need the threat of hell. You don't need the help of a God. You know, you can feel when you've wronged somebody. You can feel it if your brain is intact. I'm not talking about people that are born and something is wrong with their brain. There's some sort of damage and they don't have the serotonin is off. And it's like, oh, I'm not talking about if your brain is intact, right? You know when you've wronged somebody. It is a feeling, right? We can watch animals. We can watch an animal eat another animal, right? And even though it's the nature of life, we still like, oh man, I wish he got away. Did anybody teach us that? Did anybody teach us that that animal should get away? No, we're just feeling like, oh, loss of life. Shucks, I wish he ran faster, right? So I think good, bad is innate. You can feel it, right? I can see my fellow man and say, hey, that woman needs a sweater. Hey, that guy needs a sandwich. And this is without religion. My mother was a very, very, very loving person. Maybe I got it there. But my family wasn't ever super religious. I told you guys before, we went to church for funerals and weddings. We weren't the praying type of family, although my family is religious. Half of them are Catholic, the other half is Christian, and they do some of the Christianings and things like that. But I'm saying it wasn't a staple in our home. Like we didn't go to church every Sunday, but my parents did pray. My mom did pray or whatever. She did her little prayers at night, but or at least she told us she was, but it wasn't like a staple in our home where it's like, hey, let's all give grace for this burger or whatever. It wasn't like that. So, that's for the moral compass. And some of you may disagree that it's innate. I think it's innate. I think when you go all around the globe and you see tribes that have never heard of a Buddha or God or Jesus or a Jehovah, you see tribes, and how they get along within their tribe and their family. And they know when the kid does something bad and they know when an adult does something bad, right? So it's like, where do they get their moral compass? I think humans are born with it. What we do with it or how people influence us about it is another story. But I really do think that we are born with compassion. We are born compassionate. Animals are even compassionate. You watch monkeys, gorillas, you know what I mean? You watch hamsters, you know what I mean? We can see it. We can see compassion. So that's my moral compass. I think it's a dangerous thing if you get your moral compass from religion. It's a very dangerous thing. I'm gonna get a little deeper now. And this is going to probably trigger some of you guys or piss you off. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But again, thank you for spending this time with me. I think some religion could be child abusive. And here's how. You're like, oh, how? I discussed this on another panel, right? When children are born, they're born clean slates, completely blank, right? And then we adults, TV, music, earth, environment, we start putting the data in their head. We start putting files in their head, but they're blank slates. They have no idea what's going on. Depending on what part of the earth they're born, they get a religion. They get assigned a religion. If they're born in the United States, they're going to get assigned Jesus. If they're born somewhere else, they're going to get assigned Buddhist. You know what I mean? They may be a monk. They may be a Catholic, right? Just depends where they land and who's raising them. Okay, they get assigned. It's like, welcome to earth. We're Christians in our home, so here's your Christian ID and your uniform, okay? Depends on where they're born and what family they're born into. Blank slates. We put whatever it is we think, believe, and feel, good or bad, into their brains, right? The reason why I think religion can be abusive is because religion, a lot of it, it's like, well, because we're religious and believe in this God and this Lord in this way, I'm going to tell you that that's how you were born. That's why we hear things like born in sin, right? Or born imperfect. I think it's very abusive. We don't like hearing bad things, right? We don't like people telling us, well, I think your ego is too big, right? We don't like people telling us, I think you're fat. We don't like people telling us, I don't like your attitude. We don't like people telling us, you're a little too ambitious, right? All of that destroys. That's why they say speak words of love to your family, speak words of love, right? Speak nicely, play classical music for your plants, because we react, right? To praise, we react to things that feel good. So when a child is born, if they're constantly hearing, you are weak of flesh. Now, this is a thing that was born perfect. And here comes religion. You are weak of flesh. Remember, you're going to mess up a lot and only God can judge you. You were born imperfect. So don't come around here acting like you're perfect, because none of us are perfect. I've messed up. I've cheated on my husband a bunch of times, your dad, and he messed up. And that guy may have murdered somebody, but only God can judge him, and you're gonna mess up. When you're telling a child that and you're raising a child in that reality, guess what? They start believing, well, I'm weak of flesh, so I can cheat. My mama said it. So cheating is okay because only God can judge me. And besides, look at my flesh. It's weak anyway. That's my excuse, right? So we have to be that's a gripe that I have with religion. I feel like religion should not be taught. It should be sought. That's how I feel, right? Should not be taught, should be sought. I think the individual, because it's such a personal decision, I think an individual should grow up, blank slate, and then go out and seek a Jesus, a God, a Buddha, a Jehovah, or whatever. Let them go out and seek and see what feels right, see what fits right, right? But what happens is we don't even give kids a chance. We don't give kids a chance. Wherever you're born, this is your uniform, this is your ID, and this is what we believe here, okay? And kids grow up like that. And honestly, I think it's a detriment. I think it's a detriment. I think your child has a better chance at a productive life, a positive life, a compassionate life, if you teach those things, okay? On top of what they're already born with innately. You teach it's not okay to cheat. It's not okay to make somebody feel this way. It's not okay to hurt people. It's not okay. It's just not okay. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody. You know what I mean? And you don't want that energy around you. I can teach that without giving them this thing, this person, this deity that's going to punish them and send them to hell. Send them straight to hell if they don't listen, right? It's fear-mongering of the worst kind, of the absolute worst kind. Now you have somebody who's doing things because of, and you don't want that. You don't want a child who's doing things because of, right? So that's why I think it's abusive. I think religion is a very personal thing. It's like anything else we choose in life. Our diets, our mates, that's how religion should be. But because we are very pompous jerks, we're obnoxious, we're entitled, okay? No, our family is X, Y, and Z. You're here, you're going to be X, Y, and Z. I think it's abusive. I really do. Let that child grow up, okay? Let them seek it out, should they want to or not. But I really do think it's an asshole move to instill in a child some belief that you have. And that's it. You're sticking to your guns. What you have to stick to your guns about, again, is showing your child the consequences of bad behavior, right? The repercussions of bad behavior. If they do this, this is what will happen. You cheat in school, this is what will happen. You have a boyfriend and girlfriend, you cheat, this is what will happen. You have sex before you're supposed to, and you're not mature enough or financially stable enough to care for a child, this is what will happen. But that same child, if you're telling them they're weak of flesh and things happen and only God can judge you, then you're sending them out there with a fake cloak, a fake force field. And they're going out there and showing their ass and doing whatever because only God can judge me and my mother's going to forgive me and it's all good. Versus teaching them consequences and repercussions, which is way, 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 way more important. Way more important than who's hanging off their chain. Okay? Just some friendly parental advice. And I know that's probably going to trigger some people because you're like, I'm giving my child this religion and I'm giving my child this. No, I think it's abusive. I think you're cutting them off before they even start running. Okay, we shall move on. Because I know I'm sure the comments lit up after that. Like, my child gonna love, Okay. So back to you guys. If you have any questions for me at all that I didn't cover, feel free to drop them. Feel free to tell me what you think. If you're watching this live, thank you immensely. You could have been anywhere else. Maybe you're here cursing me out in the comments. I don't know. But I thank you as well. Okay, you could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me. What's up to the people that don't like me and are just curious about me and my atheism? So you could tack something else on to why you don't like me. Hello to y'all too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you to my moderators. I love you to bits and pieces. If you have any questions about anything, I think I covered it all. Those are the notes that I have. Thank you so much, Queen Nita. I agree, Jabari. Jabari says without being taught, kids will try to hide things. Kids will be slick. Kids can be mean and selfish. Kids have to be taught to be moral. I think innately children are compassionate. I've seen them. You've seen them, right? Doesn't matter what race they are. They're hugging each other and loving on each other and sharing. I do think that they have to be taught consequences. I just don't think those consequences have to be taught through a God that will punish. That's my take on it. I also wanted to add, I guess I can close with this, why I think religion is very, very necessary. And this may piss some of y'all off. I don't know. But this is just this is my take on the world. This is my view on the world. You could chew a little bit, swallow or not. Use it as an appetizer. Use it as a conversation piece. Just my view on the world and everything in it. I'll be doing a lot more of these on other subjects. If you want to see me dissect another subject, let me know. Please hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button. If you don't hit the notification bell, you will not know when I'm on. I'm going to come on all times and hours and days. Okay. So why I think religion is very necessary. You're hearing this from an atheist. Shocking. And some of you may be insulted by this. Some of you may not be. Some of you may not even care. But this is why I think religion is very, very, very necessary. You're like, wait a minute, you're an atheist. How does that even make sense? What is going on here? This is why I think it's necessary. Religion is very necessary because a lot of people could not survive without it. It is like food and water. And if you take away someone's food and water, they will die. They will not know what to do with themselves, right? So if you were raised up in religion, if you are innately weak of flesh, right? If you are innately docile, you're like, oh, I don't know, right? You need religion. You need a God. You need something watching over you to give you that strength to wake you up in the morning. to keep you from cheating, to keep you from lying, to keep you from stealing, right? To keep you fiel. How do you say that in English? Fiel, faithful. To keep you faithful in your marriage. You need religion to keep you off that liquor, to keep you off them drugs, right? If not for a God, you'd be all over the place. You'd be all over the place. So what we do not need, is a bunch of chickens with their head cut off running around on planet Earth. We have enough problems here, okay? So what we don't need is people who need religion trying to do the atheist thing. So I stress religion is very necessary for a lot of you, because without it, you have no self-determinism whatsoever. So you need religion. So I am telling you, your atheist friend is telling you, keep that religion. Do not lose it, whether it's Jesus, God, Jehovah, whoever it is. Keep it, because it's keeping a lot of you sane and moral. And we need moral people on the planet. I told you in the beginning, this stream is not to talk anybody out of religion. A lot of y'all need it. So your wives don't get cheated on. So your husbands don't get cheated on. So you don't do them drugs. So you don't abuse them kids. A lot of you need religion. So please keep your religion. This is not about do not be religious. Okay? And I mean that wholeheartedly. I came to my atheism for my own reasons. I explained them all. My brain functions at 100% capacity. Things have to be tangible for me. It has to make sense, make it make sense. And religion doesn't make sense. A God that picks and chooses who to save and who not to save is nonsensical to me, right? A God that's battling Satan like it's sport is not sensical to me. A son of God that's coming back every decade that all our parents and grandparents and great grandparents have been waiting for does not make sense to me. I think if a God and a Satan did exist, they're like the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees. Them dudes are on the same, they're in the same sports. Okay? If a God and a Satan did exist, they play the same sport, right? And we're just the balls that they're kicking back and forth. Think about it. Think about it. Well, why doesn't God get rid of Satan? He doesn't want to. If this was all real, right? And I know it's real to a lot of you, and I get it. I respect it. It's just not my thing. But if this was all real, sorry, your God and your Satan play the same sport. And that's why nobody's getting rid of anybody, because it's fun. It's like, if he gets rid of him, let's say if God gets rid of, and this is just playful talk here, but if God were to get rid of Satan, who he gonna play with? Humans? Humans are boring. Long as you keep Satan around, it's some action, it's spicy. Because now you got people choosing between the two, right? Allegedly, supposedly. So even when you think of a God and a Satan, why would God get rid of Satan? What sense does that make? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's like people who buy snakes, and then it's like you throw the little rat in there because it's fun to see the snake eat the rat. Why would you get rid of Satan? It doesn't make sense, right? So two people, two entities, two deities, because, if Satan is causing all this chaos, allegedly, supposedly, right? Then obviously he's in the game. He's in the same sport with a God, right? So why would God get rid of him? That doesn't make sense. There would be nothing left to do if he gets rid of Satan. Think about it. Think about yourself and sports, right? Whether you like football or basketball. Are you going to go watch one team on the court? No. Where's the fun in that? The championships, the Super Bowl, right? So, the more I heard about religion, the older I got, I was like, oh, this is just man shit. This is just man shit. Like when you think about it, right? It's like, oh, yeah, like humans, we love competition from back in the Roman days. Throw the tiger in there with the human being, see what happens. Like, it's just the way we're cut. And that's why I love the show American Gods, right? Because we give power to these things we make true. We give power to it. We made the Satan the enemy of God, and we make God Almighty, over Satan, but he doesn't get rid of him because we have free will. So again, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot, and that's okay. But then why the need for worship? If it's a crapshoot, then why the need for worship? If I'm on this planet Earth and Satan may get me or God may get me, and I'm in between like this and it's a crapshoot, then why the need to worship either one? I'm in the middle of your game. I'm the freaking ball, all right, at the Boston Red Sox and Yankee game. I'm the ball. They can't play without the ball. So why would they get rid of them? It doesn't make sense. But these are just, now I'm going off a tangent, but these are things that I've thought about that brought me to atheism. I just want to get out of the entire bullshit. Also, my brain is not, I'm not a sports person. I'm not really into them. So it's like I can't get into the whole, you know what I mean? I'm not into politics either. Newsflash, I don't do politics either. I don't do sports. I don't do politics. I don't do holidays. I don't do the annual traditions everybody else does, Easter, the Halloweens, the Thanksgivings, the Valentine's Day, the Christmases. I don't do any of that either. But that's a whole other stream for another day that I'm going to talk about materialism, the traditions that we have that, again, someone else gave to us that came before us. But yeah, I'm not into that stuff. I'm not into that stuff. So it's very easy for me to remove myself from the whole Satan and God sports teams, right? Because I don't even do regular sports. So, I'm not going to do that one. Oh, who's going to win? God, Satan, God, Satan. Like, I don't do any of that stuff. So I hope with OG Patrice said, Jen, get ready for the Captain Save an Atheist. Oh, I know they're coming. I know. I already had them come over and be like, I'm going to pray for you. And it doesn't matter that you don't believe in God because God believes in you. I've heard it all. Trust me. I've heard it all since leaving all religion. I know I said I was closing, but this is the last thing I'm going to say since this is my journey. Truth is never favorite. If you're still here, I will let you up. Sorry if I didn't, I just saw that. Ill doctrine. These guys, you'll make my makeup crack. Ill doctrine says, my lady is my highest value. I want her to think I am beautiful and righteous since I am evil, but I want to be beautiful and righteous. When she says, you're beautiful, that is my redemption. Go ahead. Whoever can give you the redemption. Haran DeMarco says, do you believe there is cowardice believing in a deity because it removes a degree of personal accountability, while being atheist, agnostic pushes one to depend solely on self? Yes. Thank you for that super chat, first and foremost. Yes, yes, and mo yes. I do think there's a lot of cowardice in religion. And that's because you can easily blame it on the religion or the deity that you believe in when something doesn't work out, when you fail, right? It's easy to, well, God ain't done with me yet, right? Had God been done with me, I would have been able to achieve this thing. But I tell you, God ain't done with me yet, right? So there is a lot of cowardice. There's things that people, there are people that stay in marriages, in loveless marriages, and they won't leave because, God doesn't like divorce, right? So instead of looking at the person in the eye and saying, you don't do it for me anymore, this isn't working, I hate to break up my family, but I got to go, right? No, God said, no, I'm staying, right? So I absolutely, yes, believe that there's a lot of cowardice in it. I'm going to bring you up, Truth, right after I say this, just so you know, FYI, my journey to atheism, let me let you guys know, been there, done that. It wasn't that I went to the wrong church. It wasn't that I was forsaken by God. It wasn't that I wanted something, he didn't give it to me. This was just me growing up and thinking, this does not make any damn sense. What am I doing on my knees? Who am I talking to? There's death and destruction. There's children dying. Why should I believe that God helped you survive the flu, right? Adult person. I went to different churches on my journey. right, for religion. I told you I grew up, half my family was Catholic, the other half was Christian. I did a little bit with Jehovah's Witnesses for a while, Bible study, door to door. Have you heard the good news? Did that. Went to Baptist church with my aunt. Studied a little bit of Scientology, which some people view as a religion, some people don't. Scientology, Pentecostal, Catholic, different things, varying religions that I frequented, whether it was going with a friend or a family member, in my curiosity about religion. And this analogy is really going to get you, but every church I've been to, every synagogue, every kingdom hall, I always sat there and felt out of place. I felt completely out of place. And here's why. I felt like a lot of people in there needed this thing, right? For survival, to stay moral, to stay faithful, to stay off drugs, to stay healthy, to stay, a good parent, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have self-determinism. I know right from wrong. I don't need this. I don't need to be here. I don't need the Bible. I don't need, like, I know this innately. I feel like I was in an emergency room with a bunch of sick people, but I wasn't sick. And I don't mean sick negatively, like, oh, y'all are sick. I meant like there was a need for you to be there that I did not have. And this is in various, okay, holy places, not just the church of Jesus Christ. Like, I went to different ones because I was like, what is this religion thing that humans keep doing? What is this religious thing that is so generational and so deep rooted? People do it in the name of love, and people kill people in the name of God, and people get married in the name of God. People don't divorce it. What is this religious thing? And only God can judge. It's like, what is this thing? So I went to different churches, read different things, hung out with different people. You know what I mean? Watched the mega church preachers. I watched it all. And every one, even when I went to a church with my aunt and she started speaking in tongues and doing that exorcist thing, I was like, what is this? What is this? Right? Again, it just stopped making sense. And the older I got, the more ridiculous it became. Right? So I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It doesn't even feel good. I actually feel insane talking to someone out in whatever that's supposed to be doing stuff for me or for other people. Like, I was just like, yeah, I'm out. I'm gone. This is my stop on the train. You guys go ahead. So it was just something that it didn't bring me joy. It didn't bring me solace. It didn't bring me peace. If anything, it disturbed my peace, because the more you think about it, the more it's like, look at this planet. We have bigger fish to fry, right? Than who's coming back in 10 years out of a tomb. Like, we have bigger fish to fry as human beings. Like, what are y'all doing? Y'all are wasting time in there talking to somebody that isn't talking back. And we have to help these people. We have to help these people for real. Like, these people need to eat. These people need to drink water. These people need love. These homeless babies and these children that are being abused need us to be there tangibly. I can't do, hey, I'll pray for you. I can't. It just stopped making sense to me, people. So we've come this far. Truth, let me drop the link real quick. Truth, I know Truth is very religious. So I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth. I think you're religious. I don't know if it's very, but I'll bring you up. That was my presentation, ladies and gentlemen, of my journey to atheism. Again, if you have a question, drop it in the chat if I didn't cover it. I hope you understand me a little bit more, like me a little bit more. Maybe you like me a little bit less. It doesn't matter. You're here and I welcome you. Your atheist friend says hi. I will drop the link for Truth because he wants to very much. What's up, Block Stars? I see y'all. Throw some stars in the chat for me. You know, they make me feel better. Let me drop this StreamYard link real quick. For whoever wants to come up, if I didn't answer a question,